Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, as you could probably tell from the title of the video, we're going to be going over a list of things that I put together based on other people's YouTube videos and other things that I've seen on these bikes that just need addressed. Right now you're watching me put the battery acid in the battery for the bike, something you have to do when you get the bike. You want to make sure you wait like 2.5 hours before you charge the battery. You have to let the acid kind of settle into the battery or whatever. But if you watched last week's video, me and my neighbor kid kind of put the front wheel and the handlebars on this thing and the rear shock on so I could kind of roll it back across the street here. And that's pretty much where this video is going to pick up at. Alright, so obviously me and the neighbor kid didn't go through everything possible on the bike. Basically, I put the front wheel on and the handlebars on so I could roll it across the street here. I just needed his help to hold the bike up, to put the wheel on and that kind of stuff. So that's what we did. Here's all the other parts, as you can see here, laying on the floor. So those obviously have to go all on. But I just wanted to go over my list of things that I'm going to do to the bike based on other people's YouTube videos that I've seen. I guess first of all, I'm going to go ahead and put a list. I'm going to put the list of stuff on the screen so you guys can screenshot that and use it for yourself for your own checklist. So first thing is a chain tension, and that needs addressed immediately before you even ride the bike. They all come with the chain way too tight from the factory, so adjust the chain. The fuel tank, you need to go ahead and check that. Make sure there's no rust or water in there. Mine fortunately was good, so all I need to do is put a fuel filter in line and it'll be good. That's the next thing. Put a fuel filter in after your tank. If your tank does have rust and water in it, go ahead and rinse that out with some gas before you hook the line up to the carburetor. Go over all the hardware on the bike. That means everything from top to bottom. Just check and make sure things are tight. Put Loctite on places that things need Loctite. Adjust the valves. Just take the cover off. You guys will probably be seeing it as I'm talking about it here. So adjust your valves. I'll put specs down below in the description box so you guys can check that out. The emissions canister, which is located under the fuel tank, that needs addressed. You need to do something to kind of prevent water from getting in there. I'm not sure what I'll do yet, if anything. I'm not sure that it actually needs it or not, so we'll get there when I cross that path. Next thing you need to do is check over your entire wire harness. My wire harness, I can already tell, is going to need some adjusting and rerouting. A lot of times what they like to do is go ahead and put it right under the rear fender well, across where the rear tire is going to come all the way up and scrape the harness, and eventually it'll either rip the wires off of your harness or short out your wire harness. So go over your entire wire harness and check that out, make sure it's routed correctly. I've also seen it where the wire harness can be wrapped around the exhaust pipe or some crazy things like that, and obviously that's not good. Dielectric grease all the connections on your wire harness. There's some guy on YouTube, he rides a lot in saltwater conditions and things like that, highly corrosive areas, and he had some connection issues and he had to replace the connector. So if you get ahead of it and put some dielectric grease in all your connections, you're going to be good to go and won't need to mess with the wiring at all. So next thing is Corrosion X. It's some special product that I'm sure I'll be showing you right now. Go ahead and put that on certain areas that aren't friction areas but that you want to prevent from rusting. Grease the wheel bearings. It's pretty simple. Grease anything else that really needs greased. That's just good preventative maintenance. For example, the rear shock on this thing we're going to be greasing up. Check the main fuse. It could be loose and flopping around. There's an example of some guy who hot glued his fuse to the top of the battery, and that's just fine. If you need to change it, you just pluck it off of there. And same goes if you need to change the battery. The harness by the front handlebar, again, that's a harness routing thing. Just make sure that when you turn your handlebars, the harness isn't getting pinched or anything like that. Turn signal, beep, delete. That's one of the most annoying features on these bikes. Just take that apart. You're going to clip the wires in that little box, and then you're going to be good to go. No more beeping, but you still have turn signals. Change the oil. A lot of people say that these come with shipping oil. A lot of people say that you can run them for 100 miles before you change it. I'm going to err on the side of caution, and I'm going to go ahead and put good quality oil in it. Check your spokes. You want to make sure they're all fairly tight. You also want to make sure they're not too tight. If they are too tight or too loose, you want to go around them and adjust them with a spoke wrench. Next thing after that is to balance the wheels. Since these things are street legal and you're going to be riding them at higher speeds, it's going to help your wheel bearings and the bike in general to last, and also give you the smoothest ride possible when you balance your wheels. Next thing you need to do that I noticed on my bike, and I haven't heard anybody talk about this, is reroute the speedometer cable. So this is a big one because I have heard a lot of people talking about how the speedometer cable breaks quite often, and I think you can totally avoid that if you just find a better way to route the speedometer cable. Next thing is, I'm planning on keeping this thing long term, do that preventative maintenance, and I'm going to take the exhaust manifold studs and I'm going to go ahead and put anti-seize on them. And then that way, when I have to do the rings or any other maintenance that requires the head being off the engine, it's going to be easy to get apart, and those exhaust manifold bolts you definitely want to be able to get off, and those are a bear if you don't go ahead and put that anti-seize on there. Next thing is that there's a lock nut. This isn't on the list that I showed you guys before, but there's a lock nut for the chain adjustment that is not on there. They use a lock washer, and what you want to have is two nuts so you can lock them together. And I'm just going to totally get rid of the lock washer and just put a lock nut on there, and that's going to help that nut from rattling loose, and I'll be able to keep my chain adjustment perfect. So that's going to wrap this video up, guys. As you can see, I got the Yamaha in the garage here, parked next to all these Japanese bikes. Hopefully she's not too scared, but all joking aside, I think it's going to be a good bike. We'll see as the miles go up. I'm going to be posting new videos every Monday. If you're interested in this kind of content, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to get your notifications. I always link my other videos in the description box below. Make sure to go down there and check those out. Next week's video, we're going to be getting into what you need to do after the bike is running. There's some very important things, short list of things that you need to do. For example, one of the things is rejetting the carburetor. Obviously, that's a very important thing. So check back for that video. Again, comment, rate, and subscribe. Let me know down below in the comments section what you think of the bike. Let me know what you think of the checklist that I put together, and let me know if it helps you. And for now, I'm out. Peace.